Okay. What's going on, gamers? This is AJ, Matt, Eric, and Ryan from All4Gamerz. We're doing another podcast. This is episode 11. We're trying to get our ish together. So this is another audio only podcast that we're doing so far. It's actually coming out pretty well. Audio is pretty decent, and Eric is a mad genius at editing stuff. So we have a lot of good things to talk about here today. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hello. Hi.
That sounded so enthusiastic. Well, the good thing is
we are doing this late, so that's the reason why we're not enthusiastic right now.
Oh no, I'm enthusiastic. I'm just.
I just had a monster, so I'm actually kind of hyper. My leg is going like a mile a minute right now. So, but so yeah, so wanted to start off with a few different things. I kind of started talking to the guys about a few different topics, which I kind of find near and dear. So, first thing, let's talk about more recent things here. So Nintendo, and I'm a dope for not realizing this. Nintendo yesterday celebrated Mario Day, and it took me about 30 seconds to realize it because March 10th, MAR 10. So they had a lot of interesting things going on that I was not privy to, and I feel very ashamed of myself. So Matt, what was going on yesterday with the realm of Nintendo for Mario Day?
Well, they had here in New York City, they at the Nintendo World, they had a big event going, and they celebrated, I think, the last couple of years. They had like different giveaways. You can get like cool Mario themed stuff there. And a lot of retailers were actually having like a Nintendo Switch bundle, which I think it gave $50 off of like a bundle with one of the, I think it's like Super Mario Brothers Deluxe for the Switch, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and Mario Tennis. You can choose one of those 4 games, and you can get it $50 off. So pretty much you're getting like one of those games for pretty much free or half off of when you buy a brand new system, which is pretty cool. Most of the retailers have been doing that, which is kind of different because, I mean, Nintendo really doesn't put a sales on their Mario games, which is very rare for them.
Is it really that rare?
Yeah, I can't remember the last. I mean, still, I think Mario Kart 7 for the DS that came out when the DS first came out, I think that still sells for like $20 or $30.
Yeah, DS games were like $30 for like 4 years.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. They very rarely put sales on their first party games.
Huh. I actually didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, they've had a couple of different. They have a bunch of different events. It's pretty cool. I like the idea. It's kind of like it's like May 4th. May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day.
Yeah, I'm a giant Star Wars nerd, so I knew that one.
I knew you knew that one. But I mean, it's very similar, but it's for Nintendo fanboys. Mario Day, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. So Ryan, how much stuff did you pick up yesterday then?
A lot. I went. What's it called? When I was with my girlfriend yesterday, we went to
brag about it.
The mall. We went to the. Okay, you know what, Eric? My bad. You fucking chokes and tournament. Anyway, I went to the mall yesterday with my girlfriend at Think Geek, and she got like a bunch of Mario stuff for her dad.
That's pretty cool. So what, you get like plushies and stuff?
She has actually. I think Matt might. I don't know where Matt is right now. He's probably at his house, but he has the hat that Matt has with the eyes on it.
Oh, the cappy. Yeah.
Yeah, the cappy. He also got her. She found a full size like overall set of Mario.
That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
You can RP now.
Yeah, but I want to be Bowser in this scenario.
Why should you get SD?
Ooh.
Shots
I
fired.
might SD. I might not choke and have to go pee first round. You know what I mean?
Well,
At least I win a match.
For most people who don't know, we had our tournament on Saturday, and we all lost in our first games.
Womp womp.
So I lost the eventual winner, which was George from Share Player 1.
Yes, shout out to George from Share Player One. He freaking fought admirably.
And he gets the trophy that Leslie made out of
Yeah,
perler beads that she dubbed as, "You win a tournament, you get this."
not very virtuous, but pretty good, I guess. All right.
Yeah. So I think we can, AJ. I think we could talk about that Labo because we were talking about Nintendo.
Oh, good call. Good call. All right. So yeah. So to actually keep on the topic, like Matt said with Nintendo. So I just heard about this a few days ago. So Nintendo is trying to pull another Virtual Boy, in my opinion, anyways. So everybody, for the most part, anyways, a lot of gamers remember back in the day that Nintendo was trying to go virtual. Like a lot of for some reason the 90s was obsessed with virtual reality. It kind of looks retarded now, but
Well, you can't say
Nintendo.
that.
Same reason why we're still obsessed with the flying car.
Well,
But let's move on.
we should have had it by now, but anyway.
Yeah, by Back to the Future standards, we should have also had a hoverboard. We don't have one of those.
You can't even fly a drone. How do you
I mean,
expect people to fly cars?
We have self-tying laces.
You ever
That's
go to
true.
you ever go to a park and then there's that bald, overweight guy that has the drone and he's got the
Yeah.
VR goggles on, and then he crashes it into the tree right over like a 3-year-old's birthday party? Are you really gonna trust people with flying cars?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Never mind.
Wait,
I do not wish
does he have a gray t-shirt and a gray sweatpants?
No, but the t-shirt kind of goes over his belly so that like the t-shirt's way out from his waist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
god, he has a fupa.
That was my birthday party. He crashed.
That was the Hello
Was
Kitty
that
birthday
guy?
party you had yesterday.
Awesome.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks.
So anyway, Nintendo came out with a VR type Toy-Con, you would say.
Attachment?
Yeah, well, it's considered a Toy-Con. That's what they call
That's dumb.
it. Well, yeah.
Well,
It's
you're
great
more-
marketing, though. I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
You
because
get
no
to
one will want
build
to
your
say it in
own
public.
VR headset.
See, my whole entire thing with that though is it's literally the same thing that just about everybody else is coming out with, right? So I saw like one of those stupid VR things for $40 in Walmart, and I was
Yeah,
like,
but you can't hook your Switch into it.
Oh, you mean like the ones you plug your phone into?
yeah, exactly. Well, I
That's
mean,
dumb.
so you same thing, like what Eric said. You plug your phone into it, put it into a little thing, and it's like, bam, virtual reality. It's the same thing, only with your Switch. So you
You
take
make
the,
Grandpa fall backwards off the couch.
I mean, I only did that once because I was looking at porn. I mean, really good stuff. Oh.
Well,
I'm showing this to Andrea.
She was with me.
Oh, okay.
disgusting.
That's gross.
Yeah,
That's how he made it feel like a stranger was
Okay.
touching it.
Anyway, so Matt, so what else do you know really about the VR? So
I
what
mean,
else do
I
you know
think
about?
it's an interesting concept for people who like, because I mean, if you look at an Oculus Rift or even an HTC Vive, they're all super expensive.
Right.
Now, this is kind of like a budget version, which I mean, Nintendo has the capabilities of it. It makes sense to do it. So, I mean, I haven't really looked at the specs or what games they're going to be coming out with it, but it looks interesting enough that I would consider it. But I'm not a big fan of VR. Like, I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but if they did like third-party games and added that to it, I'm down. I could try it.
I just looked up the prices. The HTC Vive is $500, and the
Yeah.
Oculus Rift is $300.
Yeah. And then you think about the new Toy-Con, which is you pretty much build it yourself. It's going to be out of cardboard, and it's probably going to cost you about $80.
The vehicle kit
So-
right now for the Toy-Con is $69.99, so that's probably going to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, like you look at it like as I mean, they're calling it VR, but I don't really think it's VR. I think it's just like,
The plug and play.
I don't know. It's just, it looks interesting. I wouldn't probably buy it unless they did like third party support and like had like Beat Saber or something like that in it.
Right.
That would be kind of cool.
Off the top of your guys' heads, do you know if the Toy-Cons or whatever they are, the Labo, do you know if
Yeah.
if it was taken well from customers?
No, I mean, it was more geared towards little kids.
Mhm.
Like I purchased the the regular one, which had, I think it had the little RC cars, the fishing rod, the
piano.
motorcycle bike one. It was like the basic one.
Yeah, like the first one that came out, right, with that little
Yeah, the first
bug
one that
thing.
came out. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great. I mean, for my son who's 4 years old, that's all he wants to do is play in the fishing game.
Okay.
And he loves it. So it's more geared towards that. It's not geared towards like our generation that wants to play a traditional VR game. This is for somebody who's getting into it just like as a party thing. It's not really for anything other than that.
And like hats off to them too, because you know, especially growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was like you had like 15 to 20 pieces of plastic that just sat there and did nothing in your house.
Yeah,
And then you got these like newer, good-looking cardboard that, I mean, eventually if you want to throw it out, you literally could probably just throw it right in the cardboard recycling bin.
Yeah, and what is also crazy is if you say break it, you can actually buy you have a box. Everybody has an Amazon box. They actually sell the plan, or not sell the plans. They have the plans on their website that you can cut everything out yourself.
Now, do they become like available only after purchase, or can you? Because I can probably just go on there now and just putz around and make it out of cardboard box that I have now. No,
you can, but they're very, very interesting. Like, I mean, if you buy, like, because I mean, the what was it? The fishing rod. The fishing rod it took me about an hour to put together.
Yikes.
Oof.
Was it fun though?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, just the way that engineered the cardboard to be rigid enough to withstand a kid or somebody else spinning it, and it actually makes the ratcheting noise when you spin it. It's wild to me, like how somebody thought of it that way. Like, because I mean, I've built tables and chairs and stuff like that, and I consider myself pretty good with my hands. It took me about an hour to build it, which is, oh god.
I just all of a sudden started paying more attention. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, but I think the way it was pretty interesting. Like, I think it's a great concept to get kids involved in making a toy, which I think is really cool. Do I think it needs to be $70-$80? I think they could get away with $60.
I mean, are you paying for the games too, or
you're paying for the cartridge? So it's essentially you're buying, like, the extra $20 is essentially the cardboard.
Now, if the game itself was here, just to bring it up, because you have a 3D printer.
Yeah.
How long do you think it'll be until you license out the ability to build these 3D printed materials? Like, let's say down the line, 3D printers become super, it's just like another household appliance that everybody has. Do you think down the line, like, Nintendo or Xbox or somebody can just give you the plans to build that unique thing, like maybe a Labo kind of esque thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, people do it now. I mean, think about it now. I mean, people, like Eric said, I have a 3D printer. I'm currently in the process of prototyping things for cartridges, stands for cartridges. I mean, it's the availability is there. I mean, I've looked on a website called Thingiverse where they have free files for pretty much anything you can think of. Like, they have a full-length Master Sword you can print on anything. You can build it yourself. Well, obviously, I also have plans that I'm planning on. I want to build a Master Chief helmet, but I want to 3D print it. There's over 50 or 60 pieces, and I mean, it's getting more available. You're right, Eric. I mean, back when 3D printers came out, they're $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Now they're getting down to like the $300, $400, $500 mark.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting more available to people. And
it's like just like any other technology. If you think about it, when it first comes out, like that, it's incredibly expensive because at the time it's new. Technology is new. Like any other TVs, it starts to go down in price.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just watching this guy on YouTube, 3D printing nerd. He was just watching. He just got received a 3D printer, which is like I think it was a toy box. It's called. It's based around so kids can use this. So it's a small build plate, probably maybe 4 or 5 inches square, and kids can go onto their parents' app on their phone and control the whole 3D printer from there. And it takes 10 minutes or whatever to build an entire 3D printed toy, which I think is just the wildest thing ever.
That's really interesting.
And it was actually on Shark Tank too. This particular 3D printer that he was showcasing. It's really really interesting. I totally can see later on down the line somebody doing something like, I mean, like I said on Thingiverse, people are making their own custom front plates for Xbox controllers. They're making their own custom like FPS freaks, those little things that bring up your
Yeah, the
thumbsticks
attached
up.
to the joystick, just to
Yeah.
bring it up a little bit.
Yeah, people can make those on there without
Yeah,
spending.
those little knickknacks that would cost like $1 to make, but you really have to buy them for $15 on Amazon or something.
Exactly, and
I bought
I
mine
could,
for 5.
but I'm saying like that's the thing, like, but that's what it is. That's the accessibility now. This stuff is very interesting.
Ryan, thoughts?
Okay, let's
Just
move
playing
on
with
along.
Okay. Well, never mind. You heard the man. Move along.
How's
Move
Thor?
along. Okay, so I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. It is incredibly interesting. Especially with Nintendo, they're trying to, I don't know. I'm a Nintendo fan. I would think that the majority of us here are pretty big Nintendo fans. So I don't want them to flop.
Yeah,
but
they are right, I guess.
I mean, the fact of the matter that they're selling something that's cardboard that we throw out on a regular basis. They're selling something that's made out of cardboard for $80. Just think about that.
Oh no, I do all the
The
time.
over-
That's why I'm like, that's
the-
genius, and we're idiots.
The overhead is got to be insane.
I'm pretty sure the reason it's going to sell so much, because when you were saying it's cardboard, it's going to sell so much because people my age grow up watching SpongeBob, and because of the one fucking episode with imagination.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I remember when I was a kid, we used to do, we never used to play. I mean, I could even make a case now. Kids don't want to play with toys. They want to play with a box.
Yeah, they do. I mean, yeah.
Funny you
Not
mention that, because
that
I actually
box.
just watched a
God damn it.
Rugrats episode yesterday, where
Okay.
where they
Nope,
buy this
move on to the
expensive
next topic.
toy,
Nope.
but all they really
Topic.
wanted to do was play in the box. So isn't that funny? Isn't that very
I'm
relatable?
shutting it down.
Shut it down.
So it wasn't about Stu's big feet this time?
No, I think they're really cutting back down on season 3. They kind of stopped doing that.
Eric, can we have a serious conversation? Just, man the Ewok, whatever the hell
Okay.
he calls you.
Shoot.
Why do you have a foot fetish, my man?
No. Next
And then
question.
why do you watch Rugrats?
But I told you that season 2 was a little, outlier. Season 3 looking pretty good right now.
Uh-huh. Until you say something about feet, freak.
Why are you bringing it up?
Because you're the one who's obsessed with it.
You have a girlfriend that has overalls.
I mean, her dad has overalls.
And she goes, wahoo!
Actually, that's not what she says at all. She says, ay, ay, she's Spanish. Get that shit correct.
Moving right along.
Dios mío!
Ay, ay, ay! She's in another castle! Boop, boop, boop.
Oh god. All right.
Oh, Dios mío, he's Bowser!
Dude, I love Sombra.
Oh god. Okay.
Hola,
Okay.
mi amo Miss Todd!
I don't speak Japanese. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, so
Okay.
sweet.
Estás blanco, diablo.
Oh, mushroom.
All right. So,
Bloop, bloop.
excuse me. Sorry about that.
No, you're not.
Not
Oh.
really. So in the same vein here, right? So for like nostalgia, right? While we're on the topic of Nintendo, so everyone knows that Nintendo basically dominates when it comes to nostalgia. We've talked about that like umpteenth times. So
Probably almost every single podcast episode.
I'd say probably every other one, but you're probably more on point than I am. But so it's actually not talking about how Nintendo actually dominates. So
A good segue.
what? So here's a thought for you. So everybody loves is getting more and more into retro gaming, right? So everyone wants to basically try to emulate their first experience, their first game from way back when, like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, when I first played, want to try to grasp that lightning in a bottle again. So you have a lot of different people creating, 8-bit, 16-bit games or whatever to try to go back to that, right? So here's the thing for you guys. Little question for you. Do you think that with all this exposure for nostalgia and everything else, do you think that it's becoming like more of like toxic for like the video game industry, or just like gamers in general? Because I'm hearing like some people think that because of one game doesn't go back and play it exactly the way that it is, they're getting irritated, or because we're focusing too much on how it played, that we don't try to innovate and try to make newer, fresher IPs. What do you guys think about that?
I think Eric should start because I can go on for a while.
Okay, I'll keep it nice and short then. People think about themselves too much, and they forget that a lot of people are just beginning to play now. How many 10 or 15-year-olds are going to go back and buy a SNES to play the old Zelda games, or even an NES? That I'm speaking more towards the remade Zelda that's coming out with the newer, or not newer, but like the more updated artsy fartsy graphics. A lot of people won't go out of their way to buy the consoles, especially since they're becoming a little bit more hard to find. And I'm pretty sure if I looked up how much they cost right now, it's probably not worth the time or money. So if you don't have one already, what?
This SNES I was looking up today because I was repairing it. They're about $50, but if you have a full everything, like just the console, is $50.
Wow.
But if you look hard enough, you can find ones that are complete with both controllers.
And you need to also find the game that you want to play too. So that's already,
Exactly.
You're already over $50-$60, and games like Apex Legends and Fortnite, those are all free. So it's really take your pick. So if you already have a modern day console and you just don't want to spend the money or don't have the money, especially if you're in school still, you're probably not going to go out of your way to buy an NES from Steve from New Jersey on eBay. So people forget that. What'd you say?
I said it sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Well, I tried to sell whatever. So the remake is going to be there for both the person who hasn't played them before and the person who has played them before. The people that make the biggest stink about it are the people that have played it before, obviously, because it's running on nostalgia. But not all games are like Pokemon or I'll just stick with Pokemon because Pokemon has a specific way that it just runs. It's turn-based RPG. It's that since the first one to the most recent one. They play somewhat the same, so you technically don't have to go back a step all the way to the first one. In a different case, the Zeldas have been so different since the first one came out that it would be hard to go back and play the older ones and appreciate them. So with a re-release like that, I don't think it's destroying creativity. I think it's just people just assume that since they already played it, everybody's played it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair point. So Matt, I know that you have a lot of opinions. So I'm gonna ask Ryan his opinions first, because then I want to hear your rant. Ryan, so what are your thoughts?
I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's good for like new companies and everything. I don't think it's making it toxic. I think I'll look back at seeing what old games that we all remember that's really fun and amazing, and for new people to look at to make better and not make the same way but different and improve on what they did wrong so they could make right. Not to mention it challenges game creators as a whole because it makes it so people so they could make, like, for example, the new Mario Brothers of what would be the, like, 2019, like, make people so excited to play video games. Because as of right now, I could ask about 16 of my friends. Eric, don't you dare say anything. 16 of my friends, because I know he's gonna say I don't have friends. That's why I said it. Anyway, 16 of my friends, and they'll all go, well, there's no fun games out right now. Meanwhile, they have like the Xbox Game Pass, the PlayStation Game Pass, and they all just get bored to tears. That's why I will play something free like League of Legends or Apex Legends, like Eric said. Like, you don't. It's just you need something to kill time, and until a game company or someone comes up with something creating and more out of the box thinking than what people are going back to now, I think for right now, nostalgia is good because it distracts everyone from what would be the famine of video games that aren't coming out and satiating our hunger for entertainment.
Okay, that was long-winded.
No.
That's
Okay,
really
I have a
good.
question. Hold on, Ryan. What's the last full game you've bought at launch?
At launch and beat?
No, just a game you bought at launch. What was the most recent one?
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 2?
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty recent. Because the last one I bought at launch was Smash.
You know, I couldn't. I'm not that big of a Smash fan in order to buy at launch.
It's just more like, unless you're already kind of in that bubble, like, obviously I'm going to get the newest Smash because I've been playing Smash since the first one on the N64. So it's like, and I'm going to obviously buy Sekiro because I'm in love with Dark Souls and everything about that. But it's really hard for me to look at a game on Steam that's $60 and be like, should I buy this? Am I going to get enough time to play out of it? Or I don't know. So it's usually I'll wait until a game goes on sale. So if they're really striving for the nostalgia factor, which again, Resident Evil 2 is a remake, and that was his most recent one that he bought at launch. I mean, it's like you're kind of asking for it.
You really are. Not to mention, the new game that I'm buying at launch is Mortal Kombat. Besides that,
which has been in the. I don't want to say the same formula. Obviously, stuff has been different, but it's still honestly, a 2D fighter.
Yeah, same thing with it's the same thing with like Madden games, like FIFA, Madden, like all that other stuff. It's the same game, just I guess would be different players. You really only buy it because it's new and you know you're gonna have more people to play with.
And they're the ones that tend to have the loyal fan base.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, especially with Mortal Kombat, it's a little bit of a different situation because like they come one every year. It's not like Madden, Call of Duty, FIFA. They don't redo it every year. I mean, what was the last one that I remember was what 2015?
Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah, 2014 actually. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so I was off a year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like they don't come out a lot. So on my thing with nostalgia, I mean, I've always been a big fan of nostalgia. I'll play games like one of my all-time favorite games, and I'll get it on any system. Has got to be Tetris because it's a simple formula. It's something that gets challenging progressively.
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Zelda is another one of those things. Like, I like all of these games, all of these like re-releases and whatnot. I eat them up because it's something that I enjoy. If I'm gonna play, like, Smash is another good example. We've been playing Smash. I know from the first time I played was you and at Hanson's house, freaking getting destroyed by the two of you because you guys have been playing it for like 3 days, and I was like, this is my first time playing. Get destroyed, but then I got hooked. But for me, nostalgia, I think it's more towards. I don't know if it's toxic because people are IPs, like whatever. But I mean, if you look at the movie genre, like movies now, what is Disney doing? They're taking all of their original movies, Lion King,
Aladdin,
Jungle Book,
Beauty and the Beast.
Aladdin. They're remaking them into live action in real life because now we have that great technology and CGI to do it and put a new spin on it. Even though it's the same story, it's going to be a new spin for a new generation.
Exactly. The new generation is the big outlier here, because when did all those other movies come out? They came out around, well, Lion King was more recent, but like the other ones came out before the 80s or 90s.
Yeah. So I mean, some of them, especially some of the, like, I know Beauty and the Beast was 92.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin.
They were all in the
Those were in the
90s.
90s. Yeah, that's
Lion
like
King.
the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah. And I mean, they've progressively made those movies all real life. Cinderella, Nutcracker. Like they're taking all of their genres and they're putting them through the test. They want to make sure that they can squeeze every little bit of thing, because especially in the movie industry now, no one has a new idea. Everybody's copying everybody else,
But
and they're trying to outdo each other.
is that their fault, or is it more because pretty much every story is based off of another story?
You're right, and I'm not saying it's their fault. It's just it's so hard because one of the other talking points that I heard from another thing, it's so hard as a movie to come up with a new genre.
Yeah.
In video games, it's a lot easier to come up with a new genre.
Like Battle Royale
Like,
would be the newest one.
Exactly, a battle royale or a Dark Souls, that type of game.
That's up
Those
Ryan's
games-
alley.
Those games are more of just its own genre, and they become kind of like a cult following. It's just it's one of those things, and I love watching. Actually, one of my things that I've been looking at net recently is on Etsy. People are taking old games like Pokemon, for instance, or Legend of Zelda.
Mhm.
They're taking those games, going into them, reworking how everything is. Just random people. Like, I mean, I saw one. It was on the SNES, and it was a handmade port of a different Legend of Zelda, where they just switched around different dungeons and gave it a whole new name.
Like a randomizer in a way, or is it like a
Yeah, kind of like a randomizer. And I think that's such a cool idea to have. And even like they do that shit with Pokemon too. They have different Nuzlocks and shit like that, randomizers. It makes the game a different but interesting.
I saw something for like a trailer for Ocarina of Time. You guys might have seen it also. Like, if it were to be done today,
the
Yeah,
Unreal
Unreal
4
Engine?
one?
On the
Yeah.
Unreal Engine.
that looks dope as hell. Yeah.
I heard they even ported over the actual scripts that they used in the old games. I know there was an Super Mario 64 version of that too. They used the exact same script, so he would walk almost identically.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so instead of seeing like all the blocky look, how he was back in the day, which obviously at the time was, groundbreaking, takes away all the corners and stuff.
Like for me, I mean, to go back to the nostalgia thing, one game that I wish that they would port to the Switch, or just make a re-release, Super Mario Sunshine.
That was an awesome game.
I thought that game was amazing.
I wouldn't be
I love
surprised if they just ported every single platform Mario, like Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and all those, just to the Switch in like one big package.
Like, then
Well, they're trying to stay away from really doing like big things like that, because they didn't bring back like how they had on the 3DS or the Wii U, like the what was it, the store. It was at the e-store or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, but the Switch has a little bit more of an out. It's like it has almost as much as an outreach as the Wii did, and the Wii brought back a lot of old GameCube games too.
Yeah.
Also, it had the ability to play GameCube games. So maybe since there's a bigger reach here, they'll probably bring back these old nostalgia based games to the Switch.
Because it's a small cartridge game. I wouldn't be surprised, because I know they were talking that there's going to be a new version of the Switch. I wouldn't be surprised if that new version of the Switch played like 3DS titles.
That'd be
dope.
That would explain why they had the sale today, or yesterday rather.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Before we get off this topic too, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Ryan, what do you think?
I mean, I already pretty much said my piece.
Yeah. And like, to keep talking about it, like with the Link to the Past, I mean, for us, I mean, me and AJ, we've played the game. We're actually currently going back through the game.
Woo!
So because I remember playing it a couple of years ago when I first got my Game Boy Color, because I got it on the DX version. which was the colored Game Boy, which I thought was amazing at the time. But it's just so wild to go back to a game like that where it's so simplistic, and it's going to be interesting of how they can put it. Like, I mean, that game, I mean, how far are you into the game, AJ?
I think I'm actually about halfway done. This is actually the furthest I've ever been in the game. I think I only beat like one dungeon when I was a kid, and then I was like, "Yep, all right, I'm done." Because I have video game ADD, and that started since the beginning of Dawn for me. But I'm about halfway done. Well, you know.
But I mean, I've gone through 2 or 3 of the dungeons, and I've literally probably only put about 20 minutes in. So I mean, it's going to be interesting how they make that game and extend the playtime, because I think that game, even though it's going to be a complete remake, I think that game shouldn't be more. I would say probably $40.
Oh yeah, because it's
But
an already existing game.
I have a feeling it's going to be like a $60 game.
Probably, but I'm going to be an idiot. I'm going to buy it anyways. I don't care.
So am I.
As long as they do not have this one thing that irritates the hell out of me with this stupid game. Every time you run into something, like you try to accidentally push a block, it has a freaking thing of text that goes by and you cannot skip it.
Oh, yeah.
If it's going to be in this game, I'm going to scream. I'll buy it. Because like I said, I'm a dope, but I'm going to scream.
But if you're going to buy it, you should just wait until I give you a good okay and tell you it's okay, instead of buying it like Jump Force.
Okay, there's a difference,
Jump
okay?
Force.
Jump Force is fucking garbo, in my opinion, because it's all in Japanese. The fucking characters are scary as shit, and they're part of my nightmares now, and I can't get a good night's sleep. Fucking Frieza scares the ever-living poopy out of me, and it's all Japanese. Legend of Zelda?
Say shit.
I want to say poopy, so it's funnier. So, Legend of Zelda, you can basically just say, this is a Legend of Zelda that Link stares at you for like about an hour, and I'll be like, all right, how much?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, did you hear what I just said? He stares at you for an hour. Okay, that's all he does.
Yeah.
How much?
I'll still buy
it.
I remembered the point I was going to bring up before. So new IPs, let's say Anthem, for example, people might stray more to not bring them out, especially AAA developers, because first of all, if it becomes such a renowned thing that it's just terrible, like Anthem was soft rebooting PS4s.
Oh yeah,
they locked them up.
It was locking them up, and actually, EA was giving, for anybody whose PS4 that had happened to, they were actually giving people a refund for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've heard mixed things about that too. I've heard mixed things that they either will or won't give them to you based on who you were talking to.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
That's asinine.
But just to go back to the point, people are saying that Anthem is identical to Destiny. And if you're going to work this hard on making a new IP and what you think might be different, and people are still going to just backhand you and say, oh, it's just like Destiny, what's the point of making the new? Why wouldn't they just work on Destiny 3? I don't know.
But it's also in the same respect that I think what a lot of people are doing is because they're bitching and moaning. And I will agree with you on a lot of things, Eric, but I think this one, especially with Anthem, I've played the game. I haven't played a lot of it just because I just haven't had time. But from what I played, it's a little similar to Destiny because it's a looter shooter. But the game is a completely different aspect. Like, I mean, like I said, I've only played maybe about an hour campaign, and I was hooked because it has a very gripping story. It's a better story than Destiny, I think. But I was really, really enjoying. Like, the graphics are good. I mean, it's BioWare. I mean, it's the people who made freaking Mass Effect.
Love Mass Effect.
Just to counter your argument, because you said the looter shooter genre, but I would never relate Borderlands to Destiny.
No, you're right, because Borderlands was its own genre.
Yeah, they're their own unique thing. So even if you're picking out this new, this brand new IP, which was Anthem, people are gonna probably, especially because it's a good looking game They have futuristic weapons. They have these other, and then in Borderlands, you're just this guy with either superpowers, or you're just this huge guy that just punches people when he gets mad. They have their own little unique twists to it, but I think Anthem is just so it's pretty similar. It's more similar to Destiny than Borderlands is similar to Destiny, which is obvious, but I think that's what people are getting at with people aren't even being creative in their new IPs in the first place.
You're right, but I think what they were trying to do something different in the respect that they knew they had something on their hands. I mean, how many more times can you play the same thing? Like Destiny, don't get me wrong, I love the game, but it's just one of those games. After you beat the campaign, there's really nothing to do other than grind for loot.
That's one of the things. Yeah,
this game seems like Borderlands was different in the respect like it had a decent story. This game is more story driven, but a lot of people hate it because it's EA. That's the problem. It's not because of the game itself. I mean, look at Sword Shop. The guys over there are playing the hell out of it. It's not a question of it's not a question of like, is the game bad, or the game is bad because it's an EA product. That's not true.
I wouldn't personally say it's because of EA. It's just that most of the stuff that's happening right now is all negative. They got 60s on release. Right. They have this PS4 issue where it's locking up, and then at the end of the day, people are just saying, "Oh, it's just Destiny." So you got these three things against them.
Exactly,
and it's not worth it at this point.
But look at the same shit that happened to, Rainbow Six Siege. Same shit happened to, The Division.
Fallout 76.
Fallout 76. Those things all happened to these other big name companies, but they didn't get as much shit as they would.
I think Bethesda got a good amount of shit.
And
Ubisoft is always in the shit, especially because Rainbow Six Siege came out at the exact same time that Unity came out, or around the same time. And Unity was just plagued with bugs. You couldn't finish the game. Other people just had these graphical issues, and then they were down-resing graphics. It was just a mess. It seems to jump. It seems to piggyback off of. So it went from Ubisoft, then it went to Bethesda for a very short time, and then they flashed on the screen the new the new Elder Scrolls, and then everybody forgot about it, and now it's going right back on to EA.
Yeah, I don't even think it's EA's fault. It's not EA's fault.
No,
I think it's a marketing thing, and they hype up the game, and then all of these, and I'm gonna say it, and you can take it however you want, keyboard warriors.
I'm offended.
These people behind the thing get all offended, and it's true. It's like, it's not a question of what they do or how they view it. It's just, okay, most games are going to have bugs. Most games, because we're as consumers, we want games this, then, and now. Because we want a game now. So that's why they push out these games so quickly. And a lot of these games shouldn't be out.
Yes.
Or they should be in beta or alpha. They shouldn't be out now. And I think that's a good segue into the next topic that I have is games as a service. I think games as a service is the new norm of games now. You can put a game like that as The Division, Destiny 1 and 2, Rainbow Six Siege. They're all games as service. So what I mean by that is a game comes out and they constantly work on the game to make it better. They're constantly releasing DLCs, year 1, year 2, year 3, things like that. I think that's the new norm of games. It's far from when we used to get a game where it was just the game and nothing else. No DLC, nothing.
Here's a problem with that. This happened Well, to go back when initially happened, especially when the internet became more reliable, I guess, so you could have like 100 up and download. Back in 2009, especially when MOBAs were becoming a thing, WoW was already doing it. They had these constant updates, which you had to pay for. But
Yes.
and that was before they did their subscription too. But now we got League of Legends coming out and all these other MOBAs, and they're saying we will constantly update more characters if you guys keep playing, and you don't even have to pay for it as long as you keep playing. We're going to reward you for playing. You can have a try at this new character. You just have to play a couple games. You get this in-game currency. You buy a new character. Then move on to Siege and other not MOBAs, battle royales. They'll release these new things that you don't technically have to pay for. And in Siege's case, you could just play a lot and you'll be able to unlock these characters anyway. It's a lot of playing, but you won't have to buy them. And then with battle royales, they're just all monetary. It's just like skins and to make your character look different.
Yes, and that they actually they all fall into the game as a service.
Mm-hmm. But the problem with games as a service, before you go on, is that the single player is never going to be represented there.
You're right, and I totally agree with you on that one. It's mostly for a thing.
But which one makes more money?
Online.
Oh, absolutely. So that would go back into being the creativity of new IPs getting shut down, because the newer IPs are just going to piggyback off of success of maybe like Fortnite or the League of Legends craze that came up.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of something I'm a little scared of, too, because I'm not really the multiplayer guy. I pick up video games for the storyline. Like, I picked up Devil May Cry 5. I love it so far. It's a hack and slash. You don't need to be a freaking brain surgeon to know how to play the game. But awesome storyline, awesome graphics. But, eventually, like any other kind of story campaign-driven one-player game, it's going to fade away into obscurity. Online, not so much. So, especially if you're going to be paying for it.
You can beat that game in 11 minutes.
What? Devil May Cry?
Yes.
Have you played it?
No, but I saw a video this morning about that somebody beat the game in 11 minutes. You can actually beat the game in 11 minutes.
No, there's probably bugs, like you said, on release. And
no, it's a part of the game. It's actually a part of it.
So that's like a speedrunner thing, I guess, right?
Yeah, I thought that was hysterical. I was like, that's a little crazy.
I've been playing this game for like 2 hours now.
A lot of the people that do speedrunning, they'll probably play through the game just if they really enjoy the series, but then immediately after they'll restart the game and just start jumping randomly into walls to try and break it.
No, it's actually built into the game because it has a secret ending.
Oh yeah, they have multiple endings, right? They have like a good and bad ending.
Yeah, I think so.
True ending. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's just funny. Like I was like watching Alex Gaming, and they were explaining that you can beat the whole game in 11 minutes. I was like, get the hell out of here. And they had a 12-minute video. And I was like, holy shit, they beat it in 11 minutes.
Oh, damn. Oh, actually, so to go to your point about, online gaming as a service, Ryan is actually a big, proprietor of that as well. How much money have you spent in League of Legends there, guy?
Okay, well, before we go into how much I spent on League of Legends, let me, and I know because Eric's the only one who's gonna fully cringe and not understand why.
I bought a lot of skins on League.
Okay, good. So me and you on the same boat, but probably not as many as my cousin Shane and Alex have.
Oh,
so
well, I have a friend that spent. Well, we calculated it. He spent over $1,000 something on skins.
Right.
Oh god, I'm gonna throw up.
Me and Shane's friend Alex, we gave him honorary cousin status because Shane has known him for a very long time.
That's neat.
Alex has spent $2,687 on League of Legends through the course of his whole League career. And now in League of Legends, for those that haven't played it, it is a free game where you can get the champions through the game currency. That is not hard to get. However, to get skins, also back in the day when playing League of Legends, you needed RP, which is the buying currency, to get things like Mastery, runes, stuff that would just help you be good in lane and sustain and just manage.
Actually, fake news. You didn't need the RP. You needed RP to buy more rune pages. So, Sorry, before you go on.
Alright, and before we listen, this guy also plays Polybear drunk and is garbage sober. Anyway.
Before we go on, I just want to clarify that Ryan stinks.
And I just want to clarify, the best Smash player out of the whole All4Gamerz group was out first because he had to go pee.
I just want to clarify, I don't really care.
And I just want to clarify, you're handsome. Anyway, my cousin Shane has spent 1,580 something. So what the currency does is you really only buy skins, and the way it is the rhyme goes: you buy skins for the wins, the BM, and if you have a skin over somebody, you're automatically better than that person. That's just how League of Legends works. I have spent, I actually stopped buying things, $500 on League of Legends.
I guess it's pretty moderate compared to everybody else spending over 1,000.
Yeah,
No, I have a question for you. The person that spent, what'd you say, $2,000? Do they still play League?
Not right now because I don't have the computer, but yeah.
Okay, so what if I told you the guy that I knew that spent over $1,500 stopped playing in 2014?
That wouldn't surprise me.
And if he was still playing, he probably would be spending even more money on skins.
Probably. League of Legends is a dying community, and I hope the game dies.
I don't think that's true.
Listen, man. It's gonna get to a point because they just like the game right now is like okay, but like we don't need to talk about.
Well,
this
even the professionals are yelling about it now. They're like, I think it was Double Lift. He's like, is anybody else not having fun? And then everybody was like, yes.
Well, that's because
that's good.
That's because Riot doesn't understand that solo queue is different from pro play.
No, that's just because Riot doesn't understand that they care more about the esports scene because that's where they get a lot of their money. But when you have an esport, you can't be updating every 2 days like Overwatch did when it was doing their updates.
Then no one can get used to the meta.
But you also can't not update because people that are actually playing and you have 100+ champions in the game, there's always going to be something that can be broken. So you have to balance the updates with people and the updates on esports, but they care about making money. So
yeah, or my favorite thing they do nowadays, release a new champion, give it about 3 weeks. Or in Irelia's and Akali's case, about a good, year or so, and then they nerf her. And it's not even a nerf, they just remove 5 movement speed. That was real fun. Still getting destroyed.
Do you know what they're talking about, Eric? I mean, AJ.
No, I have nothing. If you could see my face right now, my mouth open, just like with
when you ask people
like
to enjoy a complex game and you make the game more complex to enjoy, it's not good.
Not at all. I think the only other game I've actually spent money on that's sort of like the same level of toxicity as League of Legends, because there will never be a game the same level as it, but close, is definitely Rainbow.
Yikes.
And that was just to buy one operator.
Here's the thing, though, Rainbow Six has voice chat.
Right. And that still makes it just...
I think it's even
I
more
can only
toxic.
imagine that.
It also has team killing.
Oh, yeah, it does. Same thing as Counter-Strike,
equally
dude.
as toxic.
But with Counter-Strike, you gotta time it like 5 minutes after you spawn, because otherwise you get banned, and that's just like, what good's that?
Wasn't it like just a bunch of raging lunatics on CSGO? Like screaming at one another?
They're
But
Russians.
see, here's the thing. Here's the difference between Black Ops, CSGO, and Rainbow Six. In Black Ops, you'll get cursed out by an 11-year-old telling that... You can bleep this out, because I've been dropping a lot of F-bombs, because, I'm a loose cannon. But they... Like the little kids will tell you, and their parents will be nowhere, and they'll grow like a massive set, and they'll just say they'll either say the N-word constantly and laugh about it, or they'll go, "Oh, I'm fucking your mom, kid, ha, get wrecked." Meanwhile, they're the guy with like a shotgun and a grenade launcher. And then there's the person on Counter-Strike that gets mad at you because you're messing up their promos or their level or ranking because you missed a shot because the game didn't fucking identify it. And then there's the Rainbow Six guys who get mad at you because you don't know the lingo or you're not patient and run into it because you think you're playing Black Ops instead of a game that involves some form of thinking when it really doesn't, and it's just a lot of waiting.
But Ryan, I called that second floor ballroom 2 minutes ago. Why didn't you understand my call out when you only play this game 2 or 3 hours a day?
I'm sorry, dude. I got shot by
You
the
should really
window.
look up YouTube videos before you play in casuals, please. Please leave.
Dude,
Thank you.
Listen, Tachanka, man, got me. He was in the corner outside by the airplane.
But I called it out. So I don't know why you don't know
dude,
the
my mic
call outs
doesn't
yet.
work.
Please stop
You're
playing on
actually-
casual.
5 moving on Cat. What's Cat? What's happening?
Go play private matches with your friends before you play casual, please.
Go play Terrorist Hunt by yourself. It's against AI. Maybe you might do better, loser.
Oh god.
Whoa.
Okay, so to interrupt this enjoying.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got one more point here because I would
go for it.
assume with someone has a job, no responsibilities, because Matt does have children, so he has to watch the money he buys. And, you know, he's a dad. He's handsome. Anyway, and then there's AJ. Moving on. And then there's Eric.
Hey.
Moving on. All right. So I have a job, not a lot of responsibilities, and I just have college in the Hedgehog. I have a lot of money that I'm able to spend, and the money I do spend is usually on DLCs and everything else because I need to entertain myself. But those DLCs don't usually like entertain me because I always go back to the toxic fucking world that is League of Legends.
Which is why I was very surprised that you hope that it died, because that's like literally almost all you do. Like every time you're playing. Because
here's the thing, like, and I'm sure Eric can maybe agree with that. I mean, it's probably not because he hates
probably not.
Yeah. Anyway, if a game like League of Legends dies, that makes the that makes the creator of that game want to fix it and look at the problems. Because if a creator, like someone who makes League of Legends or Rainbow Six, continually has a flow, like my biggest issue with like something like Fortnite, for example, because I played it for about a month and realized how garbage the game was. My issue is that they get so much money and everything else, they forget about the consumer. And then you can say they don't, but they do, because you just keep pouring money into it. You can only hope a game dies so it can evolve and become better. And the creator, whoever's working on it, just goes, we can't have this happen again. We need to keep a better track of this. Yeah, a game dying is not going to be the best thing for it, but if League of Legends dies, like, I can only hope that there's a massive update and they fix their problems. And they have a lot of problems.
It's not dying anytime soon, don't worry.
It's not going to, but I'm just saying.
Here's the thing, though. League of Legends is literally made on a broken foundation where everything is technically the same. Going into like programmer talk, they programmed champions identical to the minions. Yeah, and that is a broken concept for the game, and I feel so bad for the developers that work on the game because they have to work around that horrible concept, because it's either that or they remake the game completely. And the latter is definitely not happening.
So, let's move on.
All right, I think that we actually have just enough time, because we want to try to keep this anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour. So
we're at an hour almost now.
Yeah, I think
That's
we're.
fine.
It's all right. I usually speed it up a little bit in post. So.
Okay, so
Just
not bad. Okay, so one last topic here. So this is something I love. Final thoughts. So this kind of ties into just about a lot of things that we were talking about, right? So we're all gamers. We all love playing video games. Obviously, I would say the majority of us love watching movies as well. So video games being considered art, right? So this is like a long like a really old debate that a lot of people have, right? So there's still a lot of people out there who think that people who play video games are like, just babies and 10-year-olds, or complete giant loser nerds who don't do anything with their life or whatever else. I mean, I'm a few of those things, but not all of them. So what do you guys think? So like video games as as art, what do you think that it should be considered art or no?
I think we're a little biased.
I think we are too, but I think that there's actually like a lot of good points to be made for it to be considered art. You figured that what is art really? It's subjective, patterns for the most part, right? I mean, you have for God's sake, there's a freaking painting where it's
modern
just
art doesn't count.
Red art. Well, I mean, it still counts. It's art, right?
It does
So
count.
again, it's all subjective.
But you can, yeah. So here's the thing, right? You go on IMDb, you type in any video game, and then there'll be somebody there that is the art director. Done. Easy win. Number 2, video games all have music and sound. Music is considered art. Done. Easy. Done. Goodbye.
Wait, I have a question. Are you talking about the game itself, or are you talking about the people that play the game? Because if you're talking about the people that play the game, fuck no.
Well, no, I don't think people playing
No,
a game
Would they be considered artists?
I think what AJ's asking is the fact of the matter: do you consider a game as a whole art,
Yes.
or even sections of it as art?
Right, just like really just in general, because if you compare it to movies, like what Matt was saying, like you watch an hour and a half movie where people are playing what characters, made up characters with like what Eric was saying,
but you can control it.
Right, exactly. That's
Interactive
the only
art. That's a thing.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't understand how there's still really much of a debate about how video games are not considered art. I think it's absolutely.
I think that was just like a news piece on some weird media that was like video games aren't supposed to be considered art.
Liberal views.
Okay, thank you.
Let's not bring politics into this thing.
Let's
divide our audience.
No.
So it was probably brought up, especially because like think about esports. What was it, 10 years ago? Esports was considered like laughable, and now you have Korea and Japan and China. They all like
are amazing at the game.
Yeah, Faker, who's on SKT in Korea, he's like one of the most famous people in Korea.
Wait, his name's Korea from
No,
Korea?
his name is Faker.
Oh.
He's from a Korean team in League of Legends. He's probably one of the most famous players in Korea. Like they'll be in commercials, they do magazines, they do all these. They're publicized as modern day actors. And now if you think about Twitch streaming, they're pretty much actors too. You know, like Dr. Disrespect puts the show on. But like they have their on-screen self, and then when the stream's off, they're a different person. You know, they're acting.
Take me and Eric, for example. Like, yeah, we get along on stream or a podcast, and then afterwards, I don't talk to this asshole afterwards.
Wow.
What? You should see some of the text messages he sends me.
I'm gonna hack
Shit
you.
gets hurtful, man. Okay.
Get off of Spotify.
No.
Oh my god. All right. Anyway. Okay. So final thoughts. So video games as an art. Yeah?
I think so.
See,
I mean, I think because if you can consider, if people say a movie is art, and a movie's only 2 hours long, right? A video game, especially if it has single player or anything like, we can make an argument of God of War. Won Game of the Year last year. How long does it take to complete the game? Yeah. How long does it take to complete the game? I'd say about 40 hours.
Yeah, about 30, 40 hours.
So, I mean, that's a movie 30 or 40 hours long.
I think the argument is more that it's an interactive thing. It's not like a book. Like a book has a beginning and a movie has a story with a beginning to end. Video games, you can do a bunch of different things. There's a whole bunch of factors in it, but that's still, at the end of the day, it's still an art.
Oh yeah,
you can take a still. Like I've seen it on Reddit too. They have like these subreddits for people that take pictures of like mountain ranges and stuff, and then people comment and they go, "Wow, that looks really nice." I've seen people sneak in pictures from video games like Red Dead 2 and God of War, and then they put that picture in, and everybody comments as if it was a real picture.
Yeah.
So that's a good argument in the face of that. Another argument is that there's video games that are like they tell a story in a way you don't even really play, you just kind of watch. So it's like these what was it, the Walking Dead Telltale series is a good example. You kind of are interacting, but you're really watching the story. There's like I can't remember the name of the game, but it's like this art piece where it's black and white and it runs you through a bunch of things, and you have to like literally see a piece of the screen, and then you just like move, and then something will happen on the screen and it'll take you to another one. It's like really weird. So that was kind of like an art piece.
Well,
and
it's
then,
also like Life is Strange, isn't that like?
Yeah, and then What Remains of Edith Finch, I think it's called. That's another one where you just like watch something progress in an artistic way.
Well, they call it like walking sims or something.
Yeah, you walk from one place to the next, you watch a story, then you walk to the other spot, you watch a story. So that could be argued. And then another argument is that there's so many websites out there, because I'm watching this one guy named Daniel Schiffman, and his name is I think it's the Coding Rainbow on YouTube. But he'll use math and programming to make a picture on a website. And then that picture will be like he uses, I know Pi Day's coming up, and he was saying something on Twitter. He wanted people to say, what can I do with Pi to make a cool like a GIF that runs just straight on programming. So obviously you need Pi and making circles, so it's probably going to be like some sort of circle thing. So it might be different colored circles coming out of the center of another circle that's spinning in circles while it's changing colors. And then that would be considered art, but it's really programming. And games are obviously programs. So
right.
I don't understand why anybody would think against that.
Okay. What a way to end it. All right, so boys, so I think that we actually talked, touched on a lot of interesting things here. So trying to go on to final thoughts. You guys have anything else you want to add in real quick before we sign off?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Wario's level on Super Smash Brothers actually has a virtual boy in the corner, and I just noticed it now.
Oh, I do love WarioWare was like an artist piece too, in a way.
In 2 days, you could play your beta for Mortal Kombat if you pre-ordered it on the 13th. That's it.
I'm gonna bring up Time Splitters Rewind, which is being worked on. I think it's a passion project. I don't know if you guys played the old Time Splitters games, but a bunch of people are working together to bring the Time Splitter games back to. I believe it's going to be re-released on PC, most likely for free because they don't own the IP. But I played Time Splitter Future Perfect like 7 or 8 times when I was younger, so I'm really excited for them to work on that.
Well, did you also hear about that they're bringing the Master Chief Collection to the PC?
Yeah, that's gonna be. I can't even wait to play Halo on PC. It's gonna be so much better. I hate playing with controllers now.
Well, they're saying that there's going to be an announcement after that. The Game Developer Conference, which is next week, I think, and that's when they're also going to be talking about that might come to the PC with other things. It might even come out with like the Game Pass on the Switch. Who knows?
Games as a service, man.
And also,
breaking the boundary.
Google is talking about their service, their online service that they're thinking about doing.
Google likes to do that. They see what's happening and they go, we can make this better. And then they do it better. So that's going to be exciting. I'm going to say 10 years from now, it's going to be a whole new story.
Well, yeah, they were already doing that like recently where people were taking on their Chrome devices.
Chromebooks?
That you could play like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and shit like that on their Google Play or something.
I think Resident Evil 7 had something like that where they streamed it. Was that the Switch? You would play on a server and it would stream to your Switch because it wouldn't be able to run on a Switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they already know how to do that. It's just whether or not they're going to be enforcing
it. It's the next thing. It's
the
next.
So I can't wait for that.
Xbox is already saying that they're going to have that in one of their systems. That's what their Game Pass is going to evolve into, especially on the Switch, because we talked about that last week. That the Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live is coming to the Switch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And if you thought people were mad when Xbox One had to be connected to the internet, when Games as a Service comes out like in this fashion, you're going to have to be connected to the internet at all times. And
broadband, too.
Oh, yeah. Oof. 5G, baby. Let's go. Free market.
Well,
to quote Alex Jones.
Yeah,
5G, baby.
Oh, okay.
Let's get him.
I was going to say Alex Jones. I thought that he was like aliens. They're everywhere. Anyway, that was terrible.
Watch him on the Joe Rogan podcast if you haven't.
I really do want to watch it.
That was a great episode.
I saw him on Louder with Crowder, and he didn't start flipping out. And
it's an act. He puts the act on for his show. I guarantee it. It's just that. I mean, he was still a little crazy on Joe Rogan's, but it was very interesting.
Flip the shit.
It's very interesting.
I gotta watch that.
He's a kooky guy. He's a card.
I gotta check it out. Yeah, you and I were talking about Joe Rogan podcast a few days ago.
I love Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, he's right in the middle. He shares a lot of views that I do. I think it's pretty cool. So
my second favorite podcast.
Oh, what's your first?
JYA's podcast.
Damn it! I was thinking you were gonna say yours.
Oh yeah, ours. Oh shit.
Before we end, I just want to share my favorite podcast because I know Eric's so interested. Third is Sleepycast. Second is also Joe Rogan because I also watch that. And my number one is SugarPod 7.
Sleepycast doesn't happen anymore, man. Why'd you have to bring that up?
Yeah, I mean,
I still listen to them from day to day.
So do I. It's hysterical.
It's so sad. Rest in peace.
I gotta say, my podcast that I like listening is Commenting on Comments by Neebs.
By what? You
Neebs
cut out,
Gaming.
I'm sorry.
Commenting on Comments by Neebs Gaming.
Okay.
They put that stuff on YouTube. I like listening. One that I just found out from actually Just Your Average podcast or Just Your Average channel. They told me about kind of funny gaming, which is pretty awesome, and obviously just your average podcast, which is pretty awesome too. Chris and Chad are real good guys.
Yes, go check them out.
Hey, do you think that Matt doesn't think we know he's playing Smash right now?
I've been playing Smash this whole time. Actually, I've been having my amiibos fight.
Busted.
No.
I'm surprised you didn't play your epic sax guy.
I don't understand what you mean.
Oh.
I also probably couldn't because it would come over the speaker and I'm recording. But whatever.
Anyway.
Ended up.
Don't. Oh great, now Ryan's doing something. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I'm playing Smash as well, my bad. my girlfriend texts me, she's like, well, I'll play it, she meets Shaggy as a me.
And he's listening
Nice.
to That's All She Wrote by T.I. and Eminem. From the No Mercy album.
That's a good song.
All
right.
Why do you
So-
care what I'm doing so much, Harry?
I'm hacking you, dude.
Damn,
Besides
dog.
the fact that it's getting a little on the later side, I also really have to pee. So,
All right, go pee,
I
dog. We'll
think
keep
we're,
it up.
we're gonna
No. No, we're ending it now. It's been a little bit over an hour. Bye.
Yes, it has been. So, everybody, thank you so much for for tuning in again. So, of course, always glad to have you guys around. Glad we were able to, of course, have some, I think, pretty interesting, conversations. Thanks again for everybody for following us. Stick around. We're gonna get everything up, later this week. Follow, JYA podcast, Share Player One. Of course, Sector 7 Item Shop. All of our good friends over there. So, as usual, I'm AJ.
Matt.
I'm Ryan.
And you guys take care.
All right, later.
Later.
Later. Bye.
Am I supposed to say it too? I don't.
Yeah, you say
Cut.
that.
Cut. It's close
Cut
enough.
print.